His desperate conspiracy theory even fails the plausibility test there, and it certainly flunks the evidence test. He says he doesn't even have to prove this. Well, how it works is he does have to prove this, unless he's not actually trying to prove anything, unless he's just trying to muck things up, be a sore loser, assuage his bruised ego at the expense of the country and its citizens' faith in its government and its institutions.
Here again is yet another clip from Brianna Keeler, and she is absolutely devastating the president of the United States, or the outgoing president of the United States. But I think that there are some important things here for us to really glean from. So take a listen in to Brianna Keeler.
Nearly a month after losing the election, President Trump still won't admit he's lost. And the conspiracy theory that he's spinning to explain Joe Biden's win is a doozy even for him. Planet Trump wants you to believe, without a shred of evidence to back it up, that the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, Venezuela, poll workers in multiple states, but only the ones that Trump lost, Fox anchors, but only the dayside ones, Republicans, but only Republicans in the states Trump lost, and of course Democrats, were all in on a conspiracy that forced him to lose the election. The strangest of strange bedfellows, the motliest of motley crews, somehow, Trump claims, all came together to throw the election. That's what Trump wants you to believe happened.
Well, that's what Trump needs them to believe happened. Because for Trump, it's not that... It really is the fact that he can't accept the reality that he lost. He's never been held accountable for anything in his life, let alone actually lost something that he wasn't able to just outright buy. And so this for Donald Trump is essentially being the 74-year-old who's never, ever been held accountable, having his moment of accountability in front of the entire world to see, and he's not handling it that well. Let's continue listening in.
He also wants you to believe that they covered their tracks impeccably, because remember, there is no evidence they coordinated or communicated, and there is zero evidence of widespread voter fraud. Zero. We know this because election officials across the country, both Democrats and Republicans, have told us that. We know that because Trump's own administration has told us that. Joe Biden won the election fair and square, and quite frankly, it wasn't even close. But President Trump continues his journey through Never Never Land, held aloft by Tinkerbell TV.
I don't think we even have to prove this. They say that I was doing so much better than they thought that they panicked, and they started just doing ballot after ballot very quickly and just checking the Biden name on top.
Now, that is a new one, alleging they, and who is they, by the way, he doesn't say, that a panic led them, whoever them is, to fill out ballots for Biden. Ballots that are verifiable, that were counted by hand in some places by Democrats and Republicans. His desperate conspiracy theory even fails the plausibility test there, and it certainly flunks the evidence test.
So it doesn't have to be plausible. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think Brianna is doing a masterful job here, as she always does. But the truth of the matter is that they do not care if it doesn't make sense. Donald Trump feels that he has the right to overturn the results of this election just by sheer virtue of the fact of who he is, not whether or not he actually won. Not whether or not it would undermine this democracy, not whether or not it would throw this country into a constitutional crisis like we've never seen before. No, that's not what's important. All that matters to him is that there's no way that he could have lost. So it doesn't have to be plausible. It just has to buy him enough time so that he can continue trying to overturn the results of the election. Continue listening in.
He says he doesn't even have to prove this. Well, how it works is he does have to prove this, unless he's not actually trying to prove anything, unless he's just trying to muck things up, be a sore loser, assuage his bruised ego at the expense of the country and its citizens' faith in its government and its institutions.
This is total fraud, and how the FBI and Department of Justice, I don't know, maybe they're involved.
Even Maria Bartiromo seemed shocked by the President of the United States casually suggesting that the FBI and the DOJ rigged the election against him, departments helmed by his own appointees.
Missing in action. Can't tell you where they are. They just keep moving along, and they go on to the next president.
Yeah, they do, because that's how it works. They do move on to the next president, as baffling as that may be to Trump, who it appears is just really nursing this open wound of losing a popularity contest.
We won the election easily. There's no way Joe Biden got 80 million votes.
And yet the president's 74 million votes, totally real, totally legit. No reason to question those, he says.
Well, that's the other thing, right? And I think we need to be really clear about this, right? So that there's no mistaking. Donald Trump is saying the quiet parts out loud. He does not believe that Trump really doesn't believe that if you voted against him, that your vote counts. Right. He doesn't believe. And this goes lock and step with the Republican Party in general. If you don't vote for the Republican Party, then your vote is invalid. The only real Americans to them are the Americans who support them. This is what they really believe. Ask them. And so it's not just a matter of Donald Trump doing this, right, putting himself above democracy. It's also the fact that Republicans are willing to do the same because they don't feel like it's actually putting themselves above democracy. They feel like they're saving democracy from everyone who wants to steal it from them. So that's a key difference here, right? Donald Trump, along with Republicans, don't feel like we are real Americans. They don't feel like our votes really count. What they really believe is that they have to save democracy from people like you and me.
I was called by the biggest people saying, congratulations, political people. Congratulations, sir, you just won the election. It was 10 o'clock.
Congratulations, sir, these unnamed biggest people said to him. Well, remember that CNN fact checker Daniel Dale, who spends his time pretty much only reviewing Trump's falsehoods, says sir is one of Trump's tells. He uses it often when he's lying. And it's not the first time that Trump has just conjured people out of thin air. Maybe you remember his friend Jim, who once loved Paris, went all the time with his wife and kids, Trump said, who stopped going because of foreign extremists. Well, CNN was unable to find Jim or verify his existence. No other news outlet was able to do it. Apparently, Trump has an imaginary friend, or friends plural, like John Barron, then Citizen Trump spokesperson, who on tape bragging about Trump sounded exactly like Trump himself.
Now, this part is actually really funny, and I want to be careful that we don't fall into tropes of mental illness. But I think we really have to speak about the fact that the president of the United States he's the emperor with no clothes. He is the person who honestly thinks that he is invisible in public. He is committing crimes right in front of the entire world, but he's convinced that he's not doing it. We are dealing with a man who is so fixated on his ego that it is impossible for him to see what the rest of us see. The rest of us see the fact that he is a criminal, but to Donald Trump, he's not. He is the hero of his own story. Donald Trump really believes that he is the hero of this story. And if we don't understand that, then I think we can laugh at Donald Trump, which we should, right? We really should. But also, I think we would miss the fact that he feels validated in his crusade to save America from the people who would steal it from Donald Trump.
This election was over, and then they did dumps. They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
Now, he appears to be describing what his legal team and their allies are doing across the country, with 30 cases now lost or withdrawn.
They weren't allowed to have poll watchers. The Democrats and thugs. Now, I'm not talking about saying, could you please move over? They threw them out of the counting rooms.
Now, that's a lie, something his own lawyers say they can't prove in court. Trump even went after the Republican governor of Georgia.
The governor's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. I'm ashamed that I endorsed him.
Done nothing because he hasn't abused his power, hasn't reversed the will of the voters, hasn't stolen an election for Trump?
Mr. President, but if you take out the contested swing states electoral votes, you're back down to President Trump having 232 electoral votes and Joe Biden having 227.
True, but that's also like saying if you take out the points that Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen scored, you're back down to John Stockton having the starring role in The Last Dance. That's not how it works, unless you're on Planet Trump.
I wanted to file one suit, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, against, and put everything into one simple suit. And they say, sir, you don't have standing. I say, I don't have standing. You mean as president of the United States, I don't have standing. What kind of a court system is this?
Assuming he's upset that he's not going before the Supreme Court, he doesn't quite understand that he's not entitled to automatic attendance to the nation's highest court just because he filled a third of it or because he's president.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Donald Trump expects this loyalty. The thing is Donald Trump is on his way out, right? If he doesn't get this magic done over the next couple of weeks, he knows that he can't stay after January 20th because we'll love to make a scene. We would all absolutely love to see him drug out, kicking and screaming, right? So he knows he has to be gone by the 20th. But he's definitely going to try everything he possibly can between now and then. And so that is the point. The point is that he is representative of what's in this party. Just because he's gone on January 20th doesn't mean that the people who would seize control over this government, they are still going to be here. And they would support Donald Trump if he actually had any chance of getting away with it. But because he has absolutely no chance of getting away with it, now they can part ways. The biggest thing in all of what I just said is the fact that this willingness to overthrow democracy in order to maintain power is not only a phenomenon of Donald Trump, it is also a phenomenon of the Republican Party. The current Republican Party, they just know how to play poker a little better. And they understand that this isn't their moment to go all in with seizing power from the will of the people.